Hi, welcome back to my homestead, and we are in our kitchen today, and today we are making vegan ginger cookies. Welcome to Ridgehaven Homestead. From the mountains of Upper East Tennessee, we share snippets of our off-grid life, cabin build, and garden blessings. Pour yourself a cup of tea, sit back, and take a peek into our off-grid home and family. This is the perfect thing for the holidays if you're craving gingerbread and a nice chewy cookie that is really good for the season. That's what we're making. So I got this off the internet. I'll put the link in the description. The author is Nora Taylor, and let's get started. First, we are going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. And I've just been kind of on a kick to make a little bit of holiday goodness in the way of cookies. Haven't had the time to do it much this year, and so I just wanted to do a couple special things, and I have been kind of craving gingerbread. And there was a lady at church who made some really nice, huge gingerbread cookies like this big. These are our ingredients that we're going to be using. We're going to be using vegan butter, which is earth balanced, molasses, and you don't want to be using for this one the blackstrap molasses. You want to be using either grandma's molasses, or this is Golden Barrel baking molasses. The blackstrap is just going to be too strong. We have a natural sugar. This is the Morena sugar. This is just evaporated cane crystals, baking soda, salt, ginger, nutmeg, vanilla, and cinnamon. It's a pretty simple recipe. So let's get into it. Okay, first thing we want to do is take 1 cup of our vegan butter, and this is softened at room temperature so that it's easy to use. Okay, this is a trick I learned many years ago when I was a teenager. The water displacement method of measuring oils, hard oils like butters and shortenings. Put a cup of water into your measuring cup, and then fill your measuring cup up to the 2-cup mark, and then that will give you an accurate measurement for how much a cup is without having to get it down there in the cracks and crannies, because it can be hard to smash butter where it needs to go because it's always got air pockets in it. Or we can just use roughly a half of this tub. Do we have some helpers? We have a helper. It's Buddy. Buddy, are you a helper? You're the helper who doesn't help. He's a good companion, even if he's not a cookie baker. But he is good at riding on the shoulders, and he is a good sick companion. Okay, so we do have our 1 cup of butter. I'm going to pour off the excess and use this. Just try not to get the water in there. And every time we get the butter out, we have a certain little somebody named Little Bit. Where'd she go? She's always begging for the butter. That's her favorite treat. So if you hear a meowing in the background, it's because Little Bit is looking for a handout of butter. Now we want 1.5 cups of packed brown sugar. I don't happen to have brown sugar, but I do have this Morena sugar, and there's one trick. If you don't have brown sugar, you can add 1 tablespoon of molasses to your sugar, and that will make it brown sugar. And you can add a little bit more if you want to make it a dark brown sugar. So 1.5 cups. One. This sugar is already like a light, it would be like a super light brown sugar, but it's just naturally how it comes. It's not really brown sugar. So 1.5 half. And now I'm going to add my molasses to make it into brown sugar. And you can just mix it all in there together. It will be just fine. But we are going to be adding extra molasses to this as well. So now we need 1/2 of a cup of molasses, baking molasses. If you go to the store, the grocery store, most likely you're going to find grandma's molasses. But I like to buy this quart. You get this at the Yoder's Mennonite store because it's a little bit more economical. And they usually have grandma's in the quart size, but when I went the other day, people had bought all of the grandma's molasses and then they just had this golden barrel, which is fine. We use the golden barrel blackstrap molasses and it's quite good. In fact, it's one of our favorite blackstrap molasses because it didn't taste as strong and metallic as some. But you don't have that problem with the baking molasses because it's more refined. Okay. The next thing we are going to need, and what I did not put on the list of ingredients, was the flour. We are going to use flour in this recipe. Okay, we have molasses. The next thing we're going to add is 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. And if you've baked with us before, you will know that this vanilla is, you can use 1/4 to 1/2 of what your recipe calls for because it's so concentrated. So I'm going to use 1/2 tablespoon for this recipe. Okay, let's go ahead and mix this up and get that incorporated. And then we'll go to the dry ingredients. So get this a little bit mixed up just so that it's started. And then you're going to want to use your hand mixer. If you have a stand mixer, you can use that. You want to get this whipped so that the sugar and the butter are thoroughly mixed in with each other. Okay, just want to cream this together on low speed until it's thoroughly mixed. Now that we have our butter and our sugar creamed together, we are ready for the flour. And we have 2 cups of flour, and I'm going to be sifting this into this bowl, and then we are adding our spices on top of that. One tablespoon. Half of a teaspoon of salt. One whole tablespoon of ginger. And since my tablespoon is dirty, I'm using the teaspoon, and I put 3 in. It smells very gingery. Okay, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. And this cinnamon is the Saigon cinnamon. It's really pretty good. We get it from Costco. I like it better than the kind we get at the grocery store. And then we have half of a teaspoon of nutmeg. Don't want to go overboard on the nutmeg because it's a little strong. Okay, now what we are gonna do is we are gonna slowly mix this to combine it. Keep it on low so that your flour doesn't puff up everywhere. It smells really good. You can smell that ginger. Okay, here's the funny thing. I don't really like ginger by itself. I don't like it too many ways, but mixed in with molasses and the cinnamon, then I do like it. So I do like gingerbread and ginger cookies, ginger snaps, ginger cake, but I don't like ginger tea, and I don't like just plain old ginger, and I really don't like it mixed in with like a stir fry. Not a fan. Now we're going to add 1 1/4 cup more of flour and mix that in. We're going to attempt to mix it with this mixer. If it gets too stiff, then we will mix it by hand. It was not hard to mix with the mixer, but it is a pretty stiff dough, and it smells really good. I'm looking forward to these cookies because I don't think they're going to be nearly as sweet as the last ones that I baked. Okay, so let's give this a nice stir together. And can you see how it's softer than Play-Doh and softer than like a sugar cookie batter, but it still holds its shape. Make sure we don't have any flour at the bottom. And then we're ready to roll them. Okay, so here's our batter, or dough, I should say. I put the rest of the ingredients away, and the only thing we need now is our sugar. So we're going to use granulated sugar, and this still is the Morena sugar. So pour some into a bowl. It doesn't really matter how much you pour. If you need more, you're going to use some more. So I put about this much in, probably 1/3 of a cup. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making balls and rolling them in the sugar and then baking them. And because this is the fun part, when you make your balls and you put them in the sugar, as they bake, it's going to form cracks, and then that is what makes it really tasty. To prepare our pans, we have put parchment paper on 2 large cookie sheets, and then our oven is at 350. It's already preheated. Recommends putting about 2 tablespoons worth of dough into a ball and rolling it, and then rolling it in the sugar until it's completely covered. And this is what gives it a nice sparkly color when it bakes. If you can see my parchment paper, you'll see that I actually am reusing the parchment paper from the last batch of cookies that I made, but that's okay. So I've got a ball of cookies, dropping it in my sugar and putting it straight onto my cookie sheet. And you don't want to smash these down, you just want to keep them round, and then they will kind of flatten as they bake. Okay, once you have all your balls dipped in sugar, you want to leave them as balls, don't smash them down. Then put them in your oven, and you're going to bake for 11 to 12 minutes until the cracks start to form. And the author of this recipe said that if you want better cracks, bigger cracks, after they've started to bake and started to make some cracks, you can flick cold water on them and more cracks will form.
They say the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and I think that applies to cookies as well. So of the two kinds of cookies I made that day, first the chocolate crinkle cookies, and then next the gingerbread cookies, of my crew who tasted them, everyone voted for the gingerbread cookies. In fact, they were disappearing a lot faster than I expected, and we ended up putting some bundles together for some of the coworkers and employees. So it looks like I'm going to have to be baking another batch of these. I don't know if you have time to bake cookies this year. If you do, I hope you enjoy them. And if you don't, I hope you still take some moments to sit down and enjoy this holiday with your family. Until next time, I wish you the merriest of Christmas. Be safe, be well, and may God bless you.